members introduce themselves, but I think that would be appropriate today. I understand we have some special guests with us. So if we could have our visitors that are here today introduce yourselves and whom you represent, because I know we also have a number of county executive members here. So. Yeah.
My name is Isaac Bucher. I'm the ag teacher at Annville-Cleona High School, and I'm the advisor for the Little Dutchman FFA.
Oh, I'm Kim Hagee, and I'm here for the presentation today. My name is Alicia Coral, and I'm also here for the presentation today. My name is Crystal Hitz, and I'm here for the agriculture issues presentation. I'm Hannah Kleckner, and I'm also here for the agriculture issues presentation.
If I could interject, the group of students from Annville-Cleona High School recently won a countywide competition, an ag debate on farmland preservation, and so as such, before they move on to the regional debate, it's my understanding they have to speak to the public on their topic, and so they chose the state board as that forum to speak to the public today, so we're glad to have you there today.
About the pros and the cons, and they're going to get some information from you. You've given them good information on our program. And just one thought is maybe use the word watershed somewhere in there, because that is a huge connect to people who are concerned about water quality. One of our leading issues of this country, water quality. And these
neighboring farmer called to tell you about farm preservation. What really happens is the neighboring farmer wants to buy the farm, and then he will put the easement on it to offset the mortgage he took out to buy that farm. That's what happens in our county, and maybe the rest of you too, but the neighboring farmer wants to add the land, and then he can get the easement for himself. And I don't
really have. And doing a really good job with your little list there. I think you really hit on, there's two camps to farmland preservation, and really hit on the highlights of both of those camps.
Have you considered that farms are open space and recharges for groundwater? And have you considered the scenic beauty and that it's a culture and a way of life that many of us actually respect and admire, and that somebody is going to want to farm that land, and maybe we'll have farms that are a whole bunch of people coming together with garden plots, but we're going to need that open space in one form or another.
The trend in my county is, because we've protected such large clusters of areas, protected land is selling just as high protected as unprotected, and so farmers are actually making out wonderfully, and that's a huge debate between the development community and the ag community in our area.
The other thing, if land does sit idle for a few years, if no one wants to farm it and it's in a, say, a government set-aside program, it actually improves the soil and builds up tilth and the health of it. And so in 50 years that it's set there for 7 years, building up health, it doesn't really make a difference. So it's actually some people might think that land just getting healthier for a few years is a good thing.
Cons when you talk about the cost of development versus farmland preservation is looking at what's referred to as cost of community services and how much it actually costs a municipality and a township or a county to take care of a farm. All you're talking about is the road line across it, as opposed to a development when you have the infrastructure, sidewalks, the curbing, the plowing of the snow, and everything that goes along with that. So the cost of community service study, which I'll encourage you to look that up and see what the differences are, is something that should be on the pro side as well, because it does tie into the costs associated from the taxpayer view.
And there's some decent numbers.
Society now is starting to adjust more toward a locally based food source. So one of the things that you can touch on in your presentation as a pro is community supported agriculture, what we call CSAs, where you have people who are growing and producing locally and serving specifically their local community through their CSAs. So if you want to touch on the local base for your food production, because people ask, well, you're preserving the land for what? Well, it's got to produce one day, and we're going to have to a point where we're going to have to start producing locally to support ourselves. So that's something that's really...
Your generations can't make decisions. As soon as they go to land development, you've precluded any
before they get to that.
Easements that we purchase are for perpetuity. There is a very sort of vague provision in the law.
Farms as of today's meeting.
Yeah, we got that too.
Yeah, so then you'll have the exact figures,
Yeah.
which will boost up that part of your presentation as well.
I think you did a great job of tying it to the economy. I mean, everyone's concerned about the economy right now and loss of jobs. So by pointing out that 1 in 7 jobs are related to farming and that it contributes $45 billion, I mean, just starting off the argument with that alone, I think right now is a strong selling point. I think you did a wonderful job.
I think Archway contributes.
And sniff brochure that you could provide to the developer when you get to the point that you want to preserve. I know you're not supposed to make a decision, but maybe this is something you could pick up. And the whole thing is to educate, because the farmer was there first and the developer's coming in and wants to put people there. So, you know, give the brochures in a polite way to the developer and say, you know, I understand people want to be in the country. I know they appreciate the scenic view that we provide, and the children love to watch the animals. But they have to be prepared for the flies and the odor. So would you mind sharing this with your client base, whoever that might be? But educate the developer and ask them to educate the neighbors. And if